My dear friends, have you ever stood at a crossroad with two paths in front of you and no clue which one to choose? One leads to safety, the other to growth. One is comfortable, but the other is challenging, and your heart whispers one thing while your mind screams the opposite. This, my friends, is the struggle of making the right choice. You see, life is not always about right versus wrong. Sometimes it's right versus right. One choice gives you peace, another gives you progress. One may make others happy, the other may fulfill your soul. So the question isn't always which choice is right, but rather which choice is right for me at this moment. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man trying to decide whether to leave his high-paying job to follow his dream of starting a small business. He spoke to many people. Some said, "Be practical." Others said, "Follow your heart." Confused, he asked a wise person, "What should I do?" The wise person smiled and said, "When your head and your heart disagree, sit still. Don't act out of fear. Let both speak. And once they stop fighting, listen to the silence. The answer will emerge not from outside, but within." We often want the right choice to come with a guarantee. We ask, will this work out? But life never guarantees results. It only offers opportunities to grow in the. So the next time you're struggling to make a decision, whether it's about relationships, career, or personal growth, ask yourself, will this choice help me grow? Will it bring peace to my soul? Am I choosing this because I'm afraid or because I'm inspired? Sometimes the right choice feels difficult at first, but peaceful in the long run. The wrong choice may feel easy now, but heavy later. Let your values guide you, not your impulses. Let clarity come from connection, not confusion. Because in the end, life is not about avoiding wrong turns, but about walking with awareness, even when you're uncertain. In the no choice is wasted if it teaches you something. So don't fear the choice. Trust your growth. Trust the process. And above all, trust yourself. Life's choices are often not between right and wrong, but between two right options. And this is what makes decision making so difficult. If one path was clearly harmful and the other clearly helpful, we'd choose without hesitation. But most real life decisions don't come labeled like that. You might have a stable job that pays well and offers security, but there's also a dream you've nurtured quietly for years, pulling at your heart, asking for a chance. Both seem right. One feeds your comfort, the other feeds your purpose. This is where inner conflict begins. In such moments, people often say, do the right thing. But which one is the right thing? That's when we realize the deeper truth. Right and wrong are not always external absolutes. Often, it's about which path aligns more with your current needs, your deeper values, and your future vision. Two people could face the exact same choice and make opposite decisions, yet both could be right for themselves. One choice may be right for your career, the other for your family. One may bring short-term happiness, another long-term fulfillment. And that's the beauty and challenge of life. It doesn't offer easy answers. It offers opportunities to understand yourself better through the act of choosing. So, next time you're struggling, remember, it's okay to feel torn. It doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're evolving. It means your mind is maturing enough to see multiple truths at the same time. And it means that whatever you choose, if done with awareness, will serve a purpose on your journey. Listen to both your heart and mind. True clarity comes when they stop conflicting. This might sound simple, but in reality, it's one of the hardest inner battles we face. The heart speaks in feelings, desires, instincts, dreams. It urges you to take risks, to follow what feels meaningful, to leap even when the future is uncertain. The mind, on the other hand, speaks in logic, calculations, patterns, past experiences, and practical warnings. It tells you to be careful, to analyze the consequences, to stay safe. The struggle arises when the heart says, "Go," and the mind says, "Wait." Or when the heart says, "This feels right," but the mind counters, "It doesn't make sense." And in this tug of war, we often find ourselves stuck, endlessly weighing the pros and cons, questioning our feelings, doubting our logic, and feeling more confused with every passing moment. But here's something worth understanding deeply. Both the heart and the mind are valuable. Neither is your enemy. The problem isn't that they're speaking. It's that we're trying to act while they're still arguing. When the mind is shouting and the heart is whispering, decisions become rushed or cloudy. When the heart is overflowing, but the mind hasn't processed the implications, we may make impulsive choices that don't serve us in the long run. The wisdom lies in allowing space for both. Don't rush, don't suppress. Let the heart express its desires fully, and let the mind assess them with care. Give both the chance to be heard without judgment. In that space of deep listening, a harmony begins to form, not instantly, but gradually. The heart begins to understand the importance of stability, and the mind begins to acknowledge the value of joy and meaning. True clarity isn't born out of silencing one part of yourself. It's born out of integration. When your decision is not just emotionally exciting, but also mentally sound, that's when confusion fades. That's when your step forward is peaceful. Not because it's guaranteed to be perfect, but because it feels right from the core of your being. Avoid making decisions based on fear, comfort, or pressure from others. These influences are often subtle, yet they can quietly dominate the choices we make, steering us away from what we truly want or need. Fear is a particularly powerful force. It disguises itself as caution, but in truth, it often holds us back from growth. We fear failure, rejection, loss, and uncertainty. So instead of moving toward our dreams, we settle for what feels safer, even if it doesn't fulfill us. Fear tells us, what if it doesn't work? But it rarely asks, what if it does? Comfort too can be deceptive. There is nothing wrong with feeling secure and at ease, but when comfort becomes a trap, we stop evolving. We stay in unfulfilling relationships because it's familiar. We keep jobs that drain our spirit because the paycheck arrives on time. We avoid new paths because they require discomfort, learning, and vulnerability. But growth never lives in the zone of comfort. Every meaningful transformation asks for discomfort before it brings change. Then there's the pressure from others, family, friends, society, even social media. People project their fears, expectations, and unfulfilled dreams onto us. You should do this. That's not practical. Everyone else your age is doing that. In trying to please everyone, we slowly disconnect from ourselves. We begin living a version of life that looks right to others but feels wrong within. And the most painful regret is not choosing the wrong thing. It's knowing you chose something just to make someone else happy. The truth is, decisions made from fear rarely lead to freedom. Decisions made from comfort rarely lead to growth. And decisions made from pressure rarely lead to peace. The best choices arise when you pause, turn inward, and ask, what do I really want? What aligns with my truth? Even if it's hard, even if no one claps for it. That's when your decisions begin to reflect your soul, not your fears, not your need for approval, but your authentic self. Seek stillness and silence to connect with your inner guidance system. In a world that's constantly noisy, filled with opinions, distractions, deadlines, and digital chatter, it becomes increasingly difficult to hear your own voice. Every day, we're bombarded by what others think we should do, how we should live, what success should look like. In this endless stream of noise, our own intuition gets drowned out. The wisdom that's within us, quiet, patient, and deeply aware, can only be accessed when we create the space to truly listen. Stillness is not just about being physically quiet. It's about being mentally and emotionally still. It's a conscious decision to pause, to step away from the business, to stop scrolling to stop reacting, and to simply be. In this stillness, something magical happens. The chaos in your mind begins to settle. The scattered thoughts begin to organize themselves. The anxiety and urgency lose their grip, and slowly you begin to feel a deeper voice emerging. Not loud but clear, not demanding but deeply knowing. This inner voice doesn't come from logic or emotion alone. It comes from a place of balance. It knows who you are beneath the roles you play. It remembers what brings you peace, what feels true and what resonates with your higher self. But this voice doesn't compete with the noise. It waits. It waits for you to get quiet enough to notice it. That's why ancient wisdom has always emphasized silence, not as an escape, but as a return to your center, a return to your essence. You don't have to go on a retreat in the mountains to find stillness. Sometimes, just a few moments of solitude in the early morning, a quiet walk without your phone, or even sitting with your eyes closed in a room, can open up that inner space where clarity begins to flow. When faced with difficult choices, Don't only look outward for answers. Make time to look inward in the. Let the silence speak. Let the stillness guide. Because no matter how loud the world becomes, the most trustworthy answers often arrive in the quietest moments. Growth and peace are stronger indicators of the right path than external rewards. In a society driven by results, achievements, and applause, it's easy to believe that right choice is always the one that brings success, recognition, or material gains. But if you pause and reflect, you'll realize that not everything that glitters brings inner fulfillment. Sometimes, the path that earns you a promotion, a bigger paycheck, or the admiration of others can leave you feeling hollow inside if it doesn't align with who you truly are. True growth doesn't always come with trophies. It often comes through discomfort, challenge, and quiet transformation. It comes when you stretch beyond your limits, when you confront fears, when you make choices that are not popular but are purposeful. Growth is invisible at first, it's felt more than seen. And the right path is often the one that demands more from you. Not in terms of performance, but in terms of becoming. Peace, on the other hand, is a deeper compass. It's that quiet sense of alignment when your actions, your values, and your heart all agree. It's not always exciting. It's not always praised, but it brings an ease that no applause can match. Sometimes you'll make a choice that others question or fail to understand, yet you feel light, calm, and rooted within. That's peace. That's the whisper of your soul affirming that you're on the right track. External rewards, whether it's money, fame, titles, or social validation, can be tempting and at times even necessary. But they should never be the only reason behind a decision, because rewards fade, applause stops, but the feeling of being at peace with your path, that stays. The right choice isn't always the loudest one. Sometimes it's the one that quietly grows you and gently calms you. And in a world constantly asking you to prove yourself, choosing growth and peace is not a weakness. It's wisdom. It's the kind of success that's not seen on a resume but felt in your spirit. And over time, that's the success that truly matters. There is no perfect decision, but every decision can lead to wisdom. We often put ourselves under immense pressure to make the perfect choice, as if one single decision will define the rest of our lives. This illusion of perfection paralyzes us. We fear making a mistake, taking the wrong turn, or choosing a path that might work out exactly the way we imagined. But the truth is, there is rarely such a thing as a flawless decision. Life is not a straight line. It's a winding road filled with unexpected turns, surprises, lessons, and redirections. Even the decisions that don't bring the outcome you hoped for are never wasted if they bring you closer to self-awareness. A relationship that didn't last might teach you what love means to you. A job you regret taking might reveal your real passion. A risk that didn't might uncover your hidden resilience. In that way, the value of a decision doesn't always lie in the result. It lies in what it reveals about you along the way. We grow not only from success, but also from setbacks. In fact, the decisions that feel uncomfortable or uncertain often become the greatest teachers. Not because they were perfect, but because they stretched you, challenged you, or redirected you. Life was never meant to be navigated with complete certainty. It's meant to be explored with openness and courage. Trying to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect sign or the perfect feeling can lead to inaction. You could spend your entire life trying to avoid mistakes, and in doing so, miss the lessons that come only through experience. What matters more than the outcome is how present, aware, and intentional you are in the process. Every choice carries a seed of wisdom within it, if you are willing to look for it. So, instead of asking, was that the perfect decision? Maybe ask, what did I learn? How did I grow? What truth about myself was revealed? Because the goal is not to live a life free of mistakes, but to live a life rich with meaning. And that meaning often comes from the imperfect paths we bravely walk. Don't wait for a guarantee. Act with courage and intention. One of the most common reasons we delay making important choices is because we're waiting for certainty. We want to be absolutely sure that the path we choose will succeed, that we won't regret it, that it will all go exactly as planned. But life doesn't come with guarantees. No one can promise you that your business will flourish, that your relationship will last forever, or that the job you're about to take will be your dream role. And yet, the absence of a guarantee doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. It simply means you're alive, stepping into the unknown, just like everyone else. If we always waited for 100% certainty, we'd never move forward. Growth demands risk. Progress asks for trust. And meaningful change requires you to walk in even the path isn't fully visible. It's not about being reckless. It's about being willing to take a step when your values, vision, and inner wisdom align, even if the outcome is uncertain. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act despite it. Courage means saying, I don't know exactly how this will unfold, but I trust myself enough to try. It means embracing the unknown with open eyes and a steady heart. Every courageous step you take becomes part of your story. A story you own. A story that shapes you into someone wiser, stronger, and more grounded. But courage alone is not enough. It must be paired with intention. Acting out of impulse or desperation is not the same as making a conscious, values-based choice. Intention keeps you rooted. It reminds you why you're doing what you're doing. When your actions are backed by clarity, even if things don't go as expected, you won't feel lost. You'll feel purposeful. The truth is, life unfolds not through certainty, but through movement. The most inspiring lives are built not by those who knew all the answers, but by those who were brave enough to ask the questions, take the leap, and learn along the way. Waiting for a guarantee is waiting forever, but acting with courage and intention That's how you create a life that's truly yours. Long-term peace is more valuable than short-term convenience. In the moment of decision, it's tempting to choose the easier option, the one that feels less risky, requires less effort, or spares you from discomfort. Convenience offers instant relief. It lets you avoid confrontation, postpone effort, and sidestep uncertainty. But what feels easy now may cost you peace later. And what feels difficult now may bring a deep sense of calm over time. Think about how many times we've taken the convenient path, agreeing to something just to avoid conflict, staying in a situation because it's familiar, choosing silence when truth wanted to be spoken. In that moment, it feels like we've saved ourselves trouble. But inside, something begins to stir. A quiet restlessness, a subtle tension. And eventually, that unease grows into regret, confusion, or even resentment. Not because the choice was hard, but because it wasn't honest. Peace, real peace, comes from alignment. It comes from making choices that reflect your values, your truth, and your long-term well-being. It often requires you to endure temporary discomfort, like having that honest conversation, walking away from what no longer serves you, or standing alone for what you believe in. These choices may not bring immediate pleasure. In fact, they may hurt at first, but they bring a peace that lasts. The world constantly sells us the idea that faster, easier, and more convenient is better. But the most meaningful things in life, authentic relationships, fulfilling work, personal growth, require patience, effort, and courage. They don't come instantly. They come gradually through consistent, intentional choices that may not be convenient, but are deeply right. When you're faced with a difficult decision, ask yourself not just what feels good now, but what will bring peace later. Will this choice let me sleep with a calm heart? Will it make me proud 5 years from now? Will it bring quiet joy that doesn't need validation? Because in the end, short-term ease often fades but long-term peace stays. And that kind of peace is worth every ounce of effort, discomfort, and delay it takes to achieve. Your values should be the compass that guides your choices. In a world full of options, distractions, and noise, it's easy to lose direction. Everyone seems to have an opinion about what you should do. Family, friends, social media, even strangers. The pressure to conform, to succeed, to impress, or to avoid judgment can quietly pull you away from your inner truth. But your values, those deeply held beliefs about what matters most, are your inner compass. They don't change with trends or opinions. They remain steady, guiding you back to who you really are. When you don't know what to do, returning to your values can bring powerful clarity. If honesty is a core value, then any choice that requires deception, even if convenient, will never sit well with you. If freedom is important to you, then even the most prestigious job may feel like a prison if it limits your independence. If growth is something you deeply value, then staying in your comfort zone will eventually start to feel suffocating. no matter how safe it looks from the outside. Living without honoring your values is like sailing without a compass. You may keep moving, but you'll feel lost. You might achieve goals, but still feel disconnected. You might please others but disappoint yourself. And that inner conflict often leads to frustration, burnout, and regret. Not because you made a wrong choice, but because it wasn't in alignment with what matters most to you. When your decisions are aligned with your values, even the difficult ones feel meaningful. They may not always lead to immediate success or applause, but they bring integrity. They bring consistency between who you are and how you live. And that consistency builds confidence. Not just the confidence to face the world, but the confidence to look in the mirror and feel at peace. So take time to understand your values. Define them, reflect on them. Let them lead your life, not only in big decisions, but in small daily actions. Because when you live by your values, you won't need to chase validation or approval. You'll know deep down that you're living a life that's true. Not perfect, but honest. Not easy, but real. Even wrong choices teach right lessons. Life is a journey of learning, We often fear making mistakes because we think a wrong choice will ruin everything. We worry that one decision could derail our future, hurt our reputation, or lead to regret. But the truth is, there is no such thing as a completely wasted decision, only unlearned lessons. Every step we take, even the ones that seem to lead us backward, carries with it the potential for growth, awareness, and transformation. Sometimes we learn best not from getting it right, but from getting it wrong. A wrong turn in your career may open your eyes to a hidden passion you never considered. A failed relationship may teach you more about your boundaries, your needs, and your self-worth than years of solitude ever could. A choice that didn't end well might introduce you to resilience you didn't know you had. In this way, our so-called mistakes often become the most powerful classrooms life offers. We grow stronger not in spite of our missteps, but because of them. Wrong choices build wisdom. They humble us, soften our ego, and teach us empathy. They give us depth. They remind us that perfection is an illusion and that the human journey is not about never falling, but about learning how to rise with more grace and understanding each time. The fear of making the wrong choice can keep us frozen in indecision. But standing still doesn't guarantee a better outcome. It only delays the learning. Action, even imperfect action, brings clarity. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It refines your path. And with each decision, you become more tuned into your values, your truth, and your purpose. What matters most is not whether you always choose correctly, but whether you grow consciously from whatever you choose. If you carry that mindset, every experience, whether painful or pleasant, becomes a stepping stone. Life doesn't demand perfection. It invites presence. It invites awareness. And when you walk through life with the openness to learn from every choice, even the wrong ones begin to lead you right.